This moment in my life right now feels like I've finally grown into maybe who I always was. I feel at almost 40 like my true self, and it feels really good to be able to be in a position where I'm able to do what I love and make a living doing it, because you know, being in this business for many, many, many years, it's taken a long time to get to that point, and I feel really lucky. In 2022, I suffered some really big major losses in my life, and I don't think I was in a place where I really believed in myself. And going into 2023, I was like, I'm gonna do it for my grandma. I'm gonna pick myself back up. And I really, going into 2023, had decided that I was gonna try to just do the best that I could to be everything that she always wanted for me. And so being now 2 years later, I think about her all the time. And I had a poster of her that my uncle gave me in my dressing room at Chicago. And so every night before I went out, before I started my song, Funny Honey, I would be up on that ladder and I would look up into the stage light and just think of my grandma. It's funny because it's probably seems like things happened for me overnight if you didn't know me or you weren't close to me. And when it comes to my team, I've had the same manager since before I was ever on Vanderpump Rules, and we've worked our butts off for almost 15 years together. And so while things maybe weren't playing out in the public eye, there was always balls in the court, there were always things snowballing, there was always work being done, there was always that, when our dance captain used to talk about how it was like the duck on the water. So you see the duck going like this, but underneath the water, this is happening. And so it seems like overnight to people who maybe didn't realize that, for 20 years, we've been working our butts off, I've been working my butt off to be able to be in a position where if an opportunity came my way, I knew that I could nail it. And so that's kind of what happened, is an opportunity came my way. I think Dancing with the Stars was the biggest one. Dancing with the Stars changed my life. First of all, I felt like I was healing every week with every dance because I was able to express myself, and I had forgotten the side of myself because I had stopped believing that I was gonna be able to do what I wanted to do. All that work that I was doing, I started to believe that it was just for fun, that that things were changing, and that was fine, and I was gonna achieve different dreams, and I was gonna go a different direction. But when Dancing with the Stars came around, is every week I was able to connect more and more to the side of myself that is a performer and is an artist and loves to express myself through my body, through performance, through music. And so inner healing was happening outwardly, I think, and I will forever say that Dancing with the Stars changed my life. It also allowed for me to say, this is who I am. And that's something that Alfonso and I talked about once. He said, it changed my life too, because he said, I was able to show up and then say, no, I'm gonna tell you who I am. You're not gonna tell me. I think that I'm very comfortable in myself now. I definitely think that I have a long way to go in terms of self-love and self-acceptance. And, of course, as we women get older, there's so much against aging and so much against growing and getting older and that's out there that we see all the time. And so I think that journey of self-acceptance and self-love is going to continue. But I think I've learned that I am enough. I think there has been a lot of times in my life where I felt like I had to be more smiley, more bubbly, more loud, more dramatic, or even more quiet and more chill, or whatever it was to please other people. And now I don't feel that as much. And I feel like I can just be myself, and that is enough, regardless of whether or not someone finds that entertaining or not. I think that I was never really made for reality TV. I don't think I've ever been, quote unquote, like what makes like a quote unquote good reality star. I think in some ways that's what has made me a good reality star. But that being said, I think that a lot of times I got in my head about that I'm boring or I'm ugly. Honestly, a lot of times, like I see TikToks where people talk about it's a video of a girl, she's walking to the gym, she's wearing a gym outfit. But the text says something about how everyone in the gym knows that those are 2 different maroons. And everyone's looking at her and they're all laughing at her about how that's 2 different maroons. And they all think she's a stupid idiot. And I'm like, that's the dialogue I was having in my head. That type of dialogue I was having in my head constantly, filming nearly every scene, unless maybe I had a glass of wine. And so I think that the lesson that I've learned is that, I don't know, that's just not a good way to be. But also, I've also learned that maybe that's not the best setting for me. And it's not a setting that really allows me to be myself. And when you're not being yourself, you get yourself into situations where you're saying or doing things that you don't really back or believe in. And so I'm glad I feel like I'm in charge of my own destiny, and I like that.
We live these difficult parts of our lives on camera, but if it's something that actually really mattered to you regardless, you would do it anyways.
Oh, I don't think I was ever gonna go back to Vanderpump Rules. That's the first time I've ever said that publicly, but I was never going to. Not in any sort of like rude way, not in a way where it feels like, not in a professional, like we don't need this, not in a I'm too good for this, but just in a way of like, it just didn't feel like right. And if I did go back, I wouldn't have been able to do the job that would make a good show. And so it just wasn't going to make sense. The story didn't make sense. We had that break, and I just feel like my mental health has come so far, and I feel like I would have been putting myself in a situation where it just seems like all the work I had done mentally on myself would just kind of be, going backwards. I think in the state in which the OG cast is in, I just think that's the story's been told, and it makes complete sense for them to shake up the cast and do something new and bring it back to the restaurant. I think the things that are closed are things that should be or felt like it was time to be closed. So then I think the things that are still open, still talking to people who are on the cast. I still talk to all of my, people I know at Bravo, and all of that still exists. So I think that's something that also made it feel like it wasn't very difficult. I talk to Katie and see Katie a lot, whether it's socially as, hanging out for her birthday or hanging out with friends or going out together. We talk constantly, and then also, of course, owning a business together. We're always talking as well in that regard. And then she and I keep up with, every now and again, of course, I texted her congratulations on her book. She was texting me, when the fires were happening, just making sure each other was okay.
When the new season of Vanderpump Rules comes on, do you think you'll be watching?
Maybe, but I typically don't watch reality shows of that nature because they stress me out. I love my competition shows, but I struggle to watch shows like that because, yeah, there's something about them that gives me like high anxiety watching them. Maybe. I feel like my personal style is really all over the place because I find something that I like on someone else, I'm like, I want to do that. And it's fun to just play around with all of those different things. I think I'm way more confident with going for a look. I think for so many years I was afraid to go too far, like do too much. And now I feel like it's so much more fun for me. It's like costumes in a way, and get to kind of channel characters. And it's really fun. If you go back to 2013, like where was I shopping? I didn't have access to apps and things like that. There was no TikTok. Inspo was hard to find. I mean, maybe you had Tumblr or Pinterest, maybe, and then Instagram started and it was all very curated and it was tough to find things that felt like me for inspo, and to be able to be like, okay, maybe I like this, but this doesn't feel right on my body. I also feel like, I was so limited in terms of like, I could have never afforded a stylist. I could have never been able to go somewhere and just wear whatever I want. And so I'm in a place now where, Emily, my stylist, is like the most amazing person, and we get to play and we get to have fun and we get to do things that I think back then I wouldn't have had, the access to be able to do them or the confidence either. And I also think that there was a point in time in my life where I was in a situation where I was being very regularly told of all the things that were wrong with my body. And I think that that put me in a space where I was like, I can't wear that. I can't wear that. Like everything that came up, well, no, I can't wear that. It has to be this because if it's showing this part of my body, that's gross to everyone. And now I feel like, no, that's not true. No one's body is gross. It doesn't matter. You know, it's not about size. It's not about, it's just about confidence, and it's about how you feel. And I also feel like, you know, I don't give a if it's flattering anymore. And I think that that was something that was so drilled into my head. It's like, what is it flattering? Flattering. Wear something fun, wear what you like. And if it's flattering, cool. And then maybe tomorrow you wear something that's not flattering and the world will just keep on spinning. I've done like a very minimal lasers. I definitely have a lot of things bookmarked for down the road. I know people like to do they talk about winter time being like the time for like laser treatments and peels. I haven't gotten on that yet. I probably still have it, filler in my chin. I got it twice. And then I've started doing Botox more recently in the last few years. I did it a long time ago and I really hated it. And I think it was just the wrong placement, the wrong everything. So I don't have any right now, but I'll probably go back and get some. I do it here because of this stuff, mostly. But I don't know, maybe that puts me at like a 4. I'm not very good at upkeep. So like I'll do something once and then like I won't do it again for like a really long time. And then people will be like, why does she look different? I'm like, because this bitch cannot maintain. 10 years from now, I would love to just be happy and healthy and I would love to feel just pure contentment, you know, in my life. In 10 years from now, I would be almost 50 and hopefully my health is intact. I mean, that's really, I think, all I can ask for because anything can happen at any time and I feel like we're always constantly reminded of that. And so, yeah, if I can just be happy and healthy, I think I'll be in a good place.